dead are back. Population has dramatically grown by 175%.
There's no flesh-eating behavior. They're just here.
Hey, Maggie!
Hey, shitface. I got another pickup for you, and don't fuck it up this time.
We're invincible!
I believe your colleagues have already taken...
Gentlemen, you are currently owing the company $25,000.
We know you two idiots stole from us.
We work for Coleman, and we've uncovered your shitty little scheme. We want the money back, or sweet old Granny over here goes bye-bye.
For Granny.
Let the show begin.
Dude, you just killed Mother Teresa.
She was so mean.
Follow.
Here.
Because I'm the girl.
No, because you're badass. Why are they so hostile all of a sudden?
Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Hurt with the NRW, where nerds rule the world, and I am here today with Megan Peta Hill. How are you today, hun?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much. Megan stars as Maggie in the upcoming film, though it's kind of been on the con circuit a little bit, right?
Yes, it's been doing the film circuit for about almost a year now. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you play Maggie in We Are Zombies, which is a tale where society includes the zombified, or the how do y'all put it, the impaired.
Yes, the living impaired. Yes, that is the PC version. Correct. Yes.
They live among society but have no cannibalistic tendencies, no instincts like that. They kind of are just normal, but just don't sleep, and they do all of the menial jobs at this point.
That's correct.
And your character is she is an ex-Coleman corp worker who kind of now hacks into their system to take the goods, so to speak. And I'm going to keep the goods as kind of a non-spoiler statement.
Perfect. Yes, we'll leave that there. Perfect.
How did you come upon Maggie? What connected you to her?
Yeah, I think one of the things I really love about Maggie is she's a feminist. She's tough. She's the self-appointed leader of this trio of very unlikely heroes, and she's very unapologetic about who she is and what she wants, and also, and she would probably never admit this out loud, but how much she loves her brother and her friend. And so I think, one of my core ways into finding Maggie was honestly through her heart. When I first was offered the job, I was kind of intimidated because our KSS, the writer-directors, are so renowned and so incredibly talented, and I was a little intimidated by the role of Maggie. But honestly, my first sort of step into her was going, actually, she's doing all of these things, and she has this really tough exterior because she cares so much, and because she loves her brother so much and her grandmother so much. So. Yeah.
It's and you can really feel it. She's kind of like this, I don't want to use the word butch, but like she really is like a tough.
Yeah. She's not dainty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the blue streak just, that just proves it. Like, it's just the proof.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's the beanie and the streak in the hair, and like you just know that she's cooler than everybody else. She's definitely a whole lot cooler than I am. That's for sure.
I'm pretty sure she's cooler than most of us, to be fair. And
agreed. Yes.
She was really pulling that like 90s like rocker girl, like skater girl for me, and I was just like, can see this.
Yeah, I definitely listened to a lot of Avril Lavigne as part of my like getting into her energy and like the way she moves. That was, yes, Avril was a big influence over Maggie for sure.
Glad I caught that then. Glad.
Mm-hmm. Nailed it.
So how did you learn about We Are Zombies? Was it just part of the regular like audition set, or did you see it and like kind of seek it out?
No, they reached out to me just through the typical sort of audition ways, but And then once I'd done my original audition, I was able to meet with 2 of the 3 directors, Anouk and Johan, and it was just sort of an instant chemistry and an instant sort of vision around this character and around the world. And so it was an immediate and definite yes for me, for sure.
There's the We Are Zombies kind of plot centers around a lot of modern day issues. There's race, there's equality issues, there's kind of patriarchal issues in there, especially that very first capture. Do you like movies where they kind of talk about the today world, or do you just, or I've actually had actors go, nah, I just like jobs, so.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my job and I love working on pretty much anything. But I find projects like this particularly special when they really are, I mean, in this instance, using comedy and gore to really talk about some very present and very real issues for a lot of people. I think class is a huge one in this film in particular. I think a lot about the impact that art has on the world, and particularly during COVID times, we of course provide a lot of entertainment and a lot of self-soothing and all these sorts of things for audiences. But I think also too, the arts is the place where we can talk about these things and we can present issues, and whether the film takes a stance on something or not, it puts it into, the zeitgeist and makes people who go and watch these films actually think about these issues in a way that they maybe don't. And I don't think that in looking at the poster or the trailer for this film that you think that that's what's you might be one of your takeaways, but I kind of like that comedy in a lot of instances is a vehicle to talk about some of these, really uncomfortable issues sometimes.
Absolutely, and to put this forward, it is a comedy.
Yes.
There is, and I honestly wouldn't even call it gore. It's more like there's just some times where something happens and then there's just a lot of blood coming out of a certain orifice.
Exactly right. It's sort of a tricky one to pin down in that sense. Like, it's a comedy for sure, but it's very genre bending. It's comic book. There's like elements of horror. It's also a buddy, road trip comedy adventure. Like, there's romance. It's sort of so genre bending, and I really love that about this film too. You can't really put it in a box, which is nice.
Absolutely, and that actually comes up to my next question. What was your favorite thing about recording this movie?
Oh wow. That is such a good question. I can't speak highly enough about this project, what it was like to shoot. My castmates were phenomenal, like wildly and intimidatingly talented and hilarious and just great humans. But I would say it's probably working with those 3 directors and writers. They are so talented and so creative in a way that I haven't really experienced before. I don't know. It was just such a wonderful experience all around. And it was my first time working in Montreal. I'm actually here again on another project, just oddly enough. I've been brought back here, but exploring a different city and living in a different culture and with another language. It's just an all around wonderful experience.
Are you learning French?
I am. I have a tutor. I've got Duolingo, please don't ask me to say anything. I'm at the point now where I can order a coffee, but then if they're like, was that to go? I'm like, can we switch back to English?
I tried.
Yeah. I'm like, I tested out a couple sentences. Okay. That was my win.
Hey, one step further every single day. That's our goal.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Let's talk about your CV in a nutshell, because this is far from your first production. You worked with Bruce Willis. You co-starred with him in Apex. How was that?
It was marvelous. Yeah. And it was late 2020. So it was my first project that was within sort of the COVID confines and rules. But we shot it on Vancouver Island. And it was amazing, because it's an action film, and there's firearms training, and it felt a lot like a boot camp in a lot of ways. And again, playing a character Jezza, who is similar to Maggie in some ways, who is very tough, physical, maybe not a good person this time, but she's tough and she's fierce. Working with Bruce and working with Neil McDonough and so many just, like incredible actors in their own right was really, really inspiring. Yeah.
you've done quite a bit of action. You've done the X-Files, you've done Flash. You did Kung Fu with the CW, which I thought was really interesting. Not enough people talk about that show.
Good show. It's a really good show. I love it.
What do you like more? Do you like TV or film more?
Oof, both. I really don't have a preference. I know the industry has sort of leaned one way and now it's sort of we're in the golden age of television, but honestly, I don't have a preference at all. I think right now I'm working on a series. And so I think right now that's sort of what I'm being pulled to because it's this longer form storytelling. You know, you get many, many episodes to sort of live in a character and to see their growth and see their development. And so I do very much enjoy that, but you still get that in a feature film. It's maybe just not as long of a project, but you still get to explore that character through their full arc and the full range of their experience and emotions. So yeah.
What's other than the growth of the character, what's the biggest difference between acting in a television series versus doing a film?
Gosh, I'm not really sure how to answer that question, if I'm totally honest. Yeah. I suppose episodics, like it depends because a lot of them are procedurals. And so I guess one of the beauties is that you are getting new guest cast in every single episode. And that's really nice. There's really huge infusion of new actors and new energy into a show. That's really wonderful. Yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I wouldn't really know how to answer that question.
No, that is completely okay. That might mean that it's a terrible question and that's on me.
No, I think that means it's a great question. Actually, you stumped me. So there you go.
For next time, now you can prepare for the next person who asks that question.
I know, I'm gonna have to go away and think about that. Jeez.
You've also done voiceover work. You've done things with EA Sports and Warner Brothers. Let's kind of shift that question a bit. What's the big difference between acting on screen and behind the screen?
Yeah, I love voiceover so much. I kind of fell into it by accident, and it's been one of the best accidents of my life. It feels like a slightly more pure art form voiceover because you're not getting cast because or not because of your eyebrows or your height or whatever. It's purely based on your creativity and your talent and your range and flexibility and your imagination. And so, in that way, it feels a little more. I know pure is maybe not the right word, but it's a very freeing art form. And one of the best things about it that I find as someone who is sort of naturally uncomfortable in my own skin, nobody's watching. Nobody's watching. Not even the sound, like the audio engineer most of the time. And so you get to just fully imagine. And it's that old adage of like restriction leads to creativity. And if you only have your voice in order to bring this character to life and to express everything that they're going through, it forces you to be so much more creative and so much more playful. And so I'd say that's probably one of the biggest differences. But in sort of falling into voiceover, all of those skills that I've learned and had to develop over time are now showing up in all of my on-camera work, which is really cool, getting to find out where this character resonates and where their placement is and what their rhythm and cadence of speech is and things that honestly I really wasn't aware of earlier in my career. And so now it just feels like extra tools on the tool belt in bringing a character to life.
I've spoken to several voiceover actors, it's especially from who connected me with you, and they talk about their acting and how they're in there and they're like throwing punches behind the mic and stuff like that. But that's the first time I've heard it put like, I didn't take my acting and put it here. I took my voiceover work and I took how I move my face or how I move my body and put it in my acting. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a two-way street, 100%. Like everything I do in my on-camera life absolutely serves voiceover, and then vice versa. So yeah, and it can even just be like in a moment that a character who might mostly live in their chest vocally, in a moment of frustration or being cut off in traffic, all of a sudden is like in their nose because they're mad, and just that little bit of like, whether it's a choice or not, or your instrument just becomes really flexible. It's just, something else that you get to play with, which is really cool.
Absolutely. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. And this, of course, I just want to point out that I'm just going to dive back into We Are Zombies for a second. We Are Zombies is not your first comic book related thing. You've done other comic book stuff before. You've done iZombie and you've done, you did Flash too, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah. It's funny how that sort of happened in my career, not by design, but I'm definitely not complaining. Comic books are so fun, and I am definitely a self-proclaimed nerd, 100%. It's so exciting. It is also, I'm not gonna lie, it's intimidating to play characters that come from an original source material, because there's already inbuilt fans and people who grew up with these characters and who love these characters or love to hate these characters. And they've got their own, vision of what they look like and how they sound and how they move. So there's a lot of responsibility in bringing a character like that to life. But I'm also a fan of these comic books. So it's such a personal joy to me. But it's same, I've also played characters who come from books as well. And it's the exact same thing. It's a lot of responsibility, but it's also extremely rewarding. Yeah.
That's so sweet. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. So some of the problems with working in adaptions, and as you said, you have people with these preconceptions, with these opinions of their own already, whether it's true or not. Do you ever have to deal with some of the backlash, or if you haven't, how would you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And it definitely does happen. And I think it's because people love the genre, they love the story or the characters so much. And of course they get really passionate about it. I think, I've learned over time that it's not it's actually not possible for me to embody every single person's imagination of what that character is. So over time I have been able to be like, well, I totally hear you. And, I'm sure there will be other iterations and maybe the character will be tougher, or will be more heartfelt, or will be all of those things. But at the end of the day, as much as I bring this character to life, it's also influenced by the other actors I'm working off of, and the director's vision and the way the screenplay has been written and all those sorts of things. And so But the interesting one is I do get messages from fans who are saying things, who talk to me as the character, which is wonderful and also so wild at the same time, being like, oh my goodness, how could you have done this? Which I just think is such a testament to the transformative nature of the art form that we play in, that people can just get so caught up in it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I've definitely been kind of, for those of you out there who have watched this channel, how many times I've accidentally called these other actors by their stage names. I've done it many, many times, just out of complete habit.
It's easily done. And castmates do it to each other too. It happens. And then even in the scene, you use their real name. It's so easily done.
That's one of my favorite scenes. I think it's in Rush Hour 2, where you see they're just calling each other by their own names, on and you're like, they're just like us. Actors are just like us.
We really are. Yep.
Let's kind of go into the award season, because we're kind of right in the middle of it for most things. You were telling me, I am the dumb American in this case. You were telling me about the Leo Awards. So what are those and what are you nominated for?
Yeah, I'm stunned, if I'm completely honest. I worked on a film last year, a to-be feature film that's a thriller, and I play the bad guy. Spoiler alert. And so I was nominated as the lead of this film, which is really exciting. And the awards are July 6th. So I'll be flying back to Vancouver for that, which is really exciting. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
So for our viewers in Canada, watch out.
That's right.
Let's lead back to We Are Zombies for the final part of this interview. What is you've done action, you've done thrillers, you've done comedy. What is your favorite genre? And tell me why We Are Zombies is your favorite film to do.
This is definitely not the hardest interview I've ever had to do, because I love We Are Zombies. Even if I wasn't in it, I'm such a fan of this film. It's so fun. It's such a wild ride. My favorite genre to work in, it's definitely action. It's definitely action. I think because it's those characters that I seem to be playing are so removed from who I am as a person. I'm kind of like a sunflower of a person and quite uncomfortable. And so to play these characters who are strong and unapologetic and tough and learning all the stunts and all of that is just such a delight. And that was so part of We Are Zombies and of course comedy, which is just the best genre ever. So yeah, this film is definitely bringing together all of those pieces that I really like. And at the core of it, it's so heartfelt, there's so much heart and family and friendship and loyalty at the center of the story too. So yeah.
It's wonderful. We Are Zombies arrives in cinemas. I believe it's only in select cinemas here in the US, but do make sure to check it out. I think it'll be available also in digital shortly after, but it'll be available in cinemas on the 17th of July. Thank you so much, Megan, for your time. I almost called you Maggie. That's what happened. I was so much.
I mean, those two are very close together, so you're good. But no, thank you so much. This was an absolute delight, and I love watching all of the work that you're doing and all the interviews you're doing. You're just a pleasure. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. If people want to follow you and pester you as Maggie, where can they find you on the internet?
I am on Instagram mostly. My handle is my full name @MeganPetahill.
Thank you so much, guys. If you have any questions or if you want to follow her, definitely check out our info right in the info description. Like, subscribe, share, all those things. Thank you so much again, Megan, and everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you.